it pays really well. I mean, I think I did like a weekend shoot for a commercial that like ended up making 10 grand.
So what is it about your hands?
My mother always said I had beautiful hands. Nail artists always say, "Oh, you have such long nail beds." I think that's what my agent would say, like, "Oh, you have very elegant hands." But I think the long fingers, the long nail beds, long nails. I have a dancer background, so I think I have like very graceful movements with my hands, and so I feel like I get like a lot of like beauty products and things like that.
I don't know how else to say this, so take this with a grain of salt, right? Like if I look at your hands, I'm like, oh, those look like the hands of a rich woman.
Oh, okay, yes, exactly, yes.
Like
So
high-end
probably high end
sophistication.
products. Like I do like high end jewelry a lot. Like I've done John Dusant, engagement rings, Suzanne Callan.
For kind of comparison, like if you look at my hand, would I be a hand mod or like, oh man, your hands are
I mean, you have manly hands, so I feel like you could do like, you know,
like Home Depot?
yeah, like Home Depot. Yes, exactly. I think that's the thing. I think that there is work for all kinds of hands. That having said, there are things that shoot more. Like there's a ton of beauty products. So elegant, nice hands that fit well for beauty products work a lot. Um, but like if you have a special skill, like my partner is a professional musician, and during the pandemic when he was working in theater and everything closed down, he was out here, and I asked my agent, I was like, hey, I always make fun of his hands because I say he has like, I don't know how he plays the guitar with these fat fingers. And they were like, I was like, hey, is there any work for a musician for hand modeling during the pandemic? And he's like, send me pictures. You never know. He was like, if something comes up and they're asking like, hey, we need like a highly skilled guitar player for this shoot, then absolutely, I'll just keep him in mind.
So not only do you have to have kind of nice hands, but it's better to have like nice hands and some skills along with it.
Exactly, exactly. Like I have drawing skills, so I do. One of my clients that hires me a lot is Hello Kitty Sanrio, and they have a whole YouTube channel where they do like crafting videos and baking videos. So I do those a lot because I don't know that there are a lot of hand models with drawing skills. And like with OPI with nail stuff too, like even sometimes it's just print, it's not video, but you want to like they want you to hold it elegantly and actually I have nail polish right here. You can like how can you hold this bottle so that it looks beautiful? So that it sounds silly. It is silly, but but it comes in handy. And also because I was an actor, so just I think that's probably one of the more difficult things. I think for people who don't already have experience on set, I think is like all you really need to do is like have nice hands and like hit your mark, right? So if I'm like like the new whatever and action, you know what I mean? Like I have to hit that same spot every time.
It has to be exactly there to match where the light and the camera is. Right. It's like,
You want to get the right glint, see the glint on the so that it's not covering the label.
so it's positioning of it. Like there is some technical ability that has to go along with this.
A little bit. And it's one of those things where, as an actor and you're on set, you're like, oh, I have to like hit that mark and also remember my lines and also cry. You know what I mean? So like not like when you're a hand model, like you already have the experience. You're like, oh yeah, I just have to hit that mark. Great. And he's like, oh, beautiful, great job. And you're like, oh, okay.
And for people that maybe like this might sound like a foreign language to, like when you're shooting things with a camera, they're probably on, I always get micro macro confused, but a really small focus. So like if you're a little bit off, the whole picture is off. So like being in that exact spot becomes much more important than like, well, wait, why? Just move the camera. No, you got to be right there.
Yeah. Oh, for phones too. Like I was on the hand model for like AT&T on a lot of commercials, and um when you bring it up, the glare on the phone, but they're gonna like it's usually like a green screen or like just a black phone, but they're gonna put something in it. And so if that glare is in the wrong place or whatever, they won't be able to do that, in post. So
So how did you get into this? Did you know? Like, were you destined to be a hand model?
I mean, I was an actor. I studied musical theater in college, and I went into theater and I toured a lot. And then I came out here on the West Coast, and I stayed after being on a Broadway tour and did commercials as an actor and stuff. And I on set one time, a woman was like, because if you're acting in the commercial, sometimes they'll use your hands for close-ups, whatever. And I remember a DP or something saying like, "Oh, you have great hands. You should be a hand model." And I was like, ah, because I didn't really know that was like a thing. I thought, well, like maybe like real models, fashion models, whatever, also obviously do the hands, and some of them do. Um, but it's a very specific thing because having like the face you want always doesn't equate to having the hands they want for especially for like fashion and things like that. And that's sort of how I fell into it. I didn't think it was a thing, but then like I started to ask around and I heard, oh, people just do hand modeling if they're hand modeling agents. And so what I ended up doing was like compiling a little video of like a lot of the commercials and like films I had done where they featured my hands doing something. And work started coming in pretty quick after that. So that was just sort of how it happened.
Okay, put all humbleness aside, just for like our perspective. So like on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, like where are you kind of in the demand scale of hand models?
I don't know where I am in the demand of things. I do, like a good month for me is like I'm working like 4 or 5 times, 4 or 5 shoots. So I'd say that's pretty average.
So like kind of like a regular full-time kind of living thing.
It pays really well. I mean, I just to give you a better idea, maybe on the low end, you're making like $800 for like an 8-hour day or like 600 for 4 hours. But like on the higher end, like I think I did like a weekend shoot for a commercial that like ended up making 10 grand.
So what is it like what does the company need a hand model for? Like is in the sense of like, okay, if you use my hands instead of yours, the product's not going to sell? Like is that how they look at it?
Well, I think that it's just like in the close-up shots, you want everything to look good, especially for beauty and that sort of thing. Like you want it, so you want a nice hand that can hold things well. So I do think it's really important to have like, a good looking hand holding the product. The company wants that.
It sets a tone for who you think is using the product.
Yeah. It's like they want someone who's like people want to be or people, you know what I mean? The other thing too is, doubling, as I said, is a big thing. And so like you hire a hand model on set, say like I did a commercial with Jennifer Aniston and I was her double, right? And it's not because she has perfectly lovely hands, but they pay her a lot more than they pay me, right? So it's just easier for them to hire me.
Yeah, it's a lot better to pay time and a half on $100 an hour than thousands of dollars an hour. Does doubling happen a lot, or is that more?
No, that's a big thing in the industry for sure. Doubling. I just did can I say this? I think so because the trailer's out. Ariana Grande's hands in like a couple campaigns for I don't know if I can say the products, but the products that are like doing campaigns along with the Wicked film that's coming out. So I was her hands in those shoots.
That
I've done who else? I've done Natalie Portman. I did a bunch of Jergens ads for a long time, and it was Leslie Mann. I did an IHOP commercial, and I think she wasn't there. My shoot was on a different day, but she was in the main part of the commercial, and then I did the hands with the close up, with the pancakes and shit.
So now I know you do hands, but now do you do other parts as well?
I do feet pretty often. That's usually shoes.
Is feet any different than doing hands?
I mean, there is an acting aspect. I know it sounds stupid, but there is an acting aspect to all of it because the energy you emit, comes through in your parts, as you're speaking and everything. So there is something, like that was a very sexy commercial. And so, like, if you just kind of like, you have to think, you do it with your whole body, but they're just doing your feet.
Yeah.
So like oftentimes, like if you watch me doing it, like I'm acting in my face and my whole body, but they're just shooting the feet, because it reads.
Does the feet thing get weird though?
It can. Well, because feet do. I mean, I have nice feet, and I think obviously a lot of people who do foot modeling have nice feet. But even on camera, feet are just kind of weird, and people don't look at them that much. I have really long toes, which my partner makes fun of. He says I have alien feet. I was like, these alien feet make money, dude.
It's a good response. Um, are you ready for some harder slash listener submitted questions?
Sure.
Is there someone who is considered the greatest hand model of all time?
There's this chick who I think was the first hand model I knew about, and she had been doing it for a really long time. I'm gonna forget her last name, and I started following her on Instagram. Her name's like Adele something, but she's one of those hand models who's worked on both coasts for a really long time, and I feel like there were like a lot of articles and stuff done about her. That's how I sort of knew the hand modeling was a thing in itself.
Adele Udo?
Yeah, maybe that's it.
How much does the complexion make a difference? Is there like a complexion, like, okay, if you have this complexion, oh, you're getting a lot of work.
I think like all of these skin tones were like really a big trend for a long time because it looks good on camera, and I do think there's a lot more for African American skin tones and Asian American. I'm part Filipino, so that's sort of where my olive tones come in. Um, Indian, I know there's a lot of East Indian hand models in my agency, and so I think darker skin tones are really trending right now. But it's like with everything in the industry, trends change. So I don't think there's one particular. And again, with doubling, you need all kinds, because there's celebrities of all kinds, and they're doing commercial, and they need a hand double. So
Are your hands insured?
they're not. But I was recently wondering if I should do that. Um, yeah, that is something I should do, maybe. Because
Yeah,
I
I feel
make
like
enough money that if something would happen to my hands, that would be a problem.
do you like specifically not do certain things?
I'm very much a DIY girl with everything. So I do a lot of things, but I have taken a lot of protections. Like I do wear gloves a lot, which looks ridiculous in California. I'll be like at a red light, always driving. I have my gloves. And because the sunlight through the windshield, you get so much sun, right? And so I'll be at a red light and people look over and it's like, 105 degrees in Los Angeles right now. And I was driving the other day with my gloves at the red light. Somebody looks over at me and they're like, and I'm like, yeah. Look away.
Look away. These hands make money, man. Leave me alone.
And so I've always felt like really silly doing that, but now I do it. Cooking, like always, like frying stuff. The oil will splash up or whatever, and I'll be like, oh man, I got a little burn, and I have like a regimen now. Like I know, like Mederma skin cream is something I use all the time when I get like a scratch or something because it heals things up really easily. A girlfriend told me about that. She got it when she was pregnant for stretch marks. She's like, it's so good. I also have a cat, so an occasional cat scratch or something, and people are like, why do you have a cat when you're a hand model?
Yeah, you should.
I love cats and I love cactuses, which is like should be like a total no.
I have to ask you about like the gloves though. Like, are we talking like you're wearing mittens around, or are you just?
Well, no, like my car gloves, I have like a pair of like leather driving.
Oh, so it's not like you got like big kitchen mittens. Just
That would be hilarious if I wore like pot holders around.
you know what though? But I used to live in Arizona, which was obviously incredibly hot, and people would do that.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, you'd see people like because you get in the car and your steering wheel's so hot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But so that's pretty much all the questions that I got. What's kind of coming up next for you? How can people learn more? That kind of stuff.
Well, I guess you can follow me on Instagram. I'm always like posting my hand modeling stuff there. I'm Joelle Brianne, JoelleBrianne is my Instagram name. I have a Hello Kitty shoot coming up soon. I don't know. Like I said, the industry ebbs and flows. So like August was crazy busy. Then after Labor Day, it kind of slowed down. So I'm kind of like, oh, I don't really know what's next other than that Hello Kitty shoot where I'll be drawing a Hello Kitty character.